Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. I'm here with my wonderfully enthusiastic and talented sister Hawarun Hussein Saunders, who's been very busy in her young life. And just before the break we were talking about the heart healthy work you were doing with the Bangladeshi community, which in a way was a bit of a springboard for you to get really concerned and involved in lots of different causes, wasn't it? So in a minute, if you can, outline what that project was and what the legacy of it was.
Well, I was working with women in particular, and I wanted to get them to do 2-3 things. One of them was to eat better than they were eating, try and get a bit of exercise, and try and chill out a little bit, because they were all stuck at home in their own lives, leading it, being busy, bringing children up, and I wanted to give them a space where they can do all of that. And a lot of the first generation Bangladeshi women came from the villages back in Sylhet, so they were exposed and had a lot of knowledge and skills. I didn't. They had a lot of knowledge and skills about food growing. So, and in the UK there is a system called allotments, you know, where you can rent out a space from your local council to grow your own food. It was in fashion in the 30s and 40s, and it sort of went out of fashion a little bit, but it's back in fashion now. It's very hip now. But
the Bangladeshi women have been doing it since they arrived in this country.
But they were doing it all in the gardens, and you know, sometimes in the concrete backyard, in buckets, in whatever they can lay their hands on. So it was actually a case of, look, there is a formal process. Here's how you can do it. Here's you getting out of your house, getting a little bit of exercise, growing things that are fresh and healthy that you can eat. But also the best thing about it was chilling out with a few of your friends, and they loved it, and we loved it.
And it ran on for years and years and years.
It did. I mean, there was a massive legacy, and still that there is still some allotments happening, and a lot of other people replicated it across the country. I mean, we won at the time, I think it must have been 98 when we won the Good Food Award for innovative projects, and I loved it because I got to go on national television. But even more than that, it was the fact that it was our little project, and that gave us national recognition. So yeah, fantastic, and loved it.
What I liked about it is that actually what it was saying, instead of looking at these women as helpless and I've got nothing to offer, it was going, hang on, you're already good at gardening, you're already interested, let's upscale it a little bit.
And they were never helpless, and you know, they had that skill set, they had the passion, they wanted to do it.
Absolutely.
It's but you know, it was just opportunity. It was giving them that knowledge to say, do you know there is something called an allotment that you can borrow, and here's where they are, and this is how you get it. And like you say, it's still happening now. I mean, I stopped being involved years and years and years back, and people are still doing it. Actually, I have my own allotment as of this year.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I took on just. You know, I think it's a great opportunity to get a bit of exercise, but more than that, it's a chill out time. It's somewhere where you can go and just look. And you don't know, you can plant flowers, you can plant fruit trees, and that takes little or no work.
You could have a she den.
Or you can get your husband to dig and plant some proper food. By the way, coriander is incredibly difficult to grow. I know my mum and her friends tell me otherwise, but I've tried and I've given up.
Oh, potatoes are very easy to grow.
Yes.
Raspberries.
Yeah,
plant an apple tree. It
I
gives
know,
you fruit
it just keeps it going.
I'm just telling you the extent of my gardening. I am an enthusiastic gardener. I'm not necessarily what I'd call a skilled gardener. And yeah,
but see, I have the skill, but I can't grow. I don't have the green fingers. You know, they talk about green fingers. I can give you all the knowledge you need. Sprinkle some coriander seeds, and it never comes up.
Oh dear, oh dear. I have a sister who's very green fingered actually. She didn't know it, and it's only she's recently discovered that she is, because she remembers exact conditions her plants need, she remembers how much water, she remembers which time of the year to prune them, you know, to cut them back and stuff, how far to cut them. I don't, so I just like do all things at the wrong times. Well, that's excellent, and like I said, that was one of the projects, and the legacy stuff is really important, isn't it? Because those skills have remained, people are doing that. I know a brother-in-law joined us in this country many years after that. He's got his own allotment, and it's just making the unusual normal. And it's not because it's unusual, it's just because we don't know about it. So how do you share that information? So speaking of the not normal or the unusual things that you have made normal, a while back now, I believe you were a councillor. You decided to stand for the local elections. What prompted that?
I did. It wasn't, but I never left. It wasn't something I always wanted to do. You know, some people just know when they want to go into politics, and it wasn't something I wanted to go into politics. I was working for the NHS. It was my very second job, I think, and I was promoting walking. And so another thing was to try and get people to go out walking. It's not fashionable in Asian or Bangladeshi or Pakistani.
In the South Asian culture, you walk for a reason. You go from A to B and you go for a purpose. And you don't
and
walk
only
around
if you
aimlessly.
only if you can't get a taxi or your friend isn't dropping you off, or your husband. So it was like, well, how do you make it interesting? How do you make it work? How do you promote walking? Because walking was a fantastic exercise for people who weren't getting any exercise, and it was making it easy, making it okay, and making them aware of things that they just needed to be aware of. Because the worst thing ever in the UK is when you're out walking and it starts raining and you get soaked. It's horrible, isn't it? So anyway, that's a whole new another area of discussion to be had. So I was coming across lots of things that weren't right within our local area and the areas that I was working in, and trying to encourage people to walk. Bearing in mind my previous job was trying to encourage people to be more active and eat better and things like that. And the other thing was happening was a lot of people will remember the demonstration around the Iraq war, where the whole of the nation was against UK going into war with Iraq. And it was, you sort of feel like this demonstration where you got millions of people saying don't do it, and as a nation we still went and did it, and you think, oh, what do you do? And somebody said to me, if you want, somebody actually didn't say it to me, but sent me a fridge magnet with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Honestly, saying if you want change, you have to be the change.
Be the change you want to see.
Be something like that. And I remember thinking, oh wow, yeah, that's really interesting. It is right, because if you don't instigate that change, who will? Do you wait for somebody else to come and help you with that change? So I bumped into a Green councillor at the time. Bearing in mind I hated politicians.
Not a green coloured human, but a Green Party councillor.
Green Party councillor. And bearing in mind, people have this image, of politicians as not nice, not decent, not not people with integrity, she says, having been a councillor for 14 years. And he was really lovely, and he came across as being a really decent human being. He wasn't, and he wasn't doing it for glory. You don't become a councillor for glory. You don't become a councillor for money, because you don't get paid. You get an allowance, but you don't get enough to pay your mortgage. And I thought, oh, that's the thought, So that's how I got involved in politics. Became a councillor, which, I loved. I was a councillor for 14 years, loved it. There were definitely times when I, you sort of think, okay, that's it, I'm giving up now. And there are other times where you think, honestly, that feels so good. Because you make change, and as an activist, you make change, and you have an impact on that area where you're an activist on. As a councillor, you make a change and it has an impact across the district. So you see the positiveness of it. And for anybody who's watching, who's thinking, oh, I'm not into politics, or I don't like politics, or I don't vote, I think they're all this. And actually, do you worry about your street lights? Do you worry about your bin collection? Do you worry about your children's school? Do you worry about your local shop? Everything, all the local decisions are made by councillors. So actually go out and vote for the right one. Don't keep just voting, the same old. Don't vote because somebody tells you to vote.
And hold people to account.
Yeah, and hold people to account. When somebody says, I will do this, and doesn't do it, go back and question them. And it's, they're having an impact on your life and how you live it. We think we're independent, we think, and actually, something like you're thinking, oh, well, how can they have an impact on what I eat? I get to choose. But actually, they decide who gets planning permission to open up a shop in your local area, which will have an impact on the choice of food you have, which will have an impact on the food you eat. That's just an example.
Exactly. Things like planning permission for lots of fast food places next to schools. I remember there was a big debate about it.
I know that was one of the areas where you feel really pleased, because it was one of my pet hates and I really wanted. So about 4 or 5 years ago in Bradford, we as an authority decided we weren't going to give any more new planning permission for any fast food outlets near anywhere where children congregate. So that's school, mosque, madrasas, anywhere like that. They will not get within 100, I think it was 100 metres of any of those areas. because they were just springing up everywhere. And what do you know, that limits the choice our children have, because it's so easy to wander home or wander past and just, you know, just get some chicken and chips or whatever it is that fast food outlet is selling, or pizza and chips. And then they come home and they don't want to eat the decent food that you've cooked at home, or, you know, the healthier option you might have at home. And then what do? You know, that choice is taken away from you.
So that was a piece of
so
policy that you influenced as a local council.
And I loved it. And that's just an example to say, you know, that was the thing where I thought, yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. I mean, like I said, there are other things where you think, like, I don't know, last year there was an incinerator that got planning permission in Keighley. And for people, everybody's thinking, what was that? When she said Keighley is one of our local towns. And, you know, I wasn't on planning committee and I couldn't do anything. And I felt really angry and really helpless because I really didn't want, and it did. And that was the, and I wanted to balance out the good thing with, you know, things that did irritate me.
And unfortunately, you know, I was just going to say, councillors, absolutely hold them to account. You know, we do elect them, we should engage with them, should talk to them, and, you know, Bradford at the moment has some really good councillors as well.
Definitely.
But just be aware that they're not God, so they can't fix everything. And certainly there's a timetable and time scale in which people can fix things. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about, so at some point then, you decided you were going, how did you become a Lord Mayor, Deputy Lord Mayor?
It was offered, and I took it. I thought, oh, that's a thought. And when you... And I suppose, you know, if I'd sat back and thought about it and thought about the time commitment, I might have not gone for it. So it was like, you know, here's an opportunity. Do you want to be the Deputy Lord Mayor for a year? And I just thought, yeah, okay. And I literally must have thought about it for about half a minute. I thought, yeah, okay, you know, that sounds good. I want to experience it all. Because you just don't know, you know, sometimes opportunities come, sometimes they don't. And for me, it's like, if there's going to be an opportunity, I'm going to take it. So just coming here today, you know.
Fantastic. Very grateful.
So, yeah, I sort of went for it. I mean, it taught me lots of positive things, but the best thing it taught me was what an amazing city Bradford is. For everybody who's watching it, who's dissing Bradford, who thinks Bradford is down in the dumps, of course Bradford has its problems, just as any other city has. Sometimes it's more obvious than other times, sometimes the media plays it up more than other times. But, you know, I think the amazing events and activities that I attended, the people, the different types of stuff that was happening in and around Bradford, I loved it. I just thought, and that was what I took that whole year. The biggest learning was, it is an amazing city. Don't ever undervalue it, don't ever underestimate it. It's our city, this is our home, this is our passion. We should love it and we should promote it and we should respect it. You know, we shouldn't diss it and go to a nearby city, and we shouldn't always compare it to other large cities. We have our own, you know, this is our city, this is our identity, and us or anybody dissing it doesn't do it any favour at all. But it's an amazing city. Don't take my word for it. Go out and see.
Explore it. Honestly, Bradford is amazing. When recently I've been having more visitors from out of town, and when I show them around, it's just like they're like absolutely blown away, because, and that's not, I don't take them to fancy places, things like this. I drive them around as I would, and we get to where we're going, and they can't believe what it looks like, and how comfortable they feel, how welcome. And don't get me wrong, because if people are listening, they'll be saying, what about homelessness, what about rubbish and this, that and the other. You know what,
find me a city
big city with over 500,000 people in it is going to have those issues. They do have those issues. Find me
a city that doesn't have those issues.
I was just going to say, but for some reason in Bradford we focus on that side as opposed to all the positives. So let's talk about your Lord Mayorship again, your Deputy Lord Mayorship. Am I right in saying that you will have been the first female Bangladeshi Lord Mayor?
I think I was.
I think it's the first.
So I was the first Bangladeshi person to be elected on behalf of the Green Party. So that was really good. And I was the first Bangladeshi woman in Bradford as a councillor. It's not, I mean, I would encourage people, anybody with the tiniest inclination, get involved in politics. Get involved, even if you don't ever want to stand and become a councillor. Get involved.
Join
Join
whichever political party you want.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Get involved. Have your say in the party itself. If you have a passion about it, get involved. You know, like I said, I really enjoyed it. Really appreciated it.
How was your family with you? You know, when you decided, you know, you were on the spur of a moment, you're going to become a councillor and then the Lord Mayor. How were they? Were they supportive? Were they a little bit worried?
Yeah, I think by then my parents had given up on me. I think they were a bit like, oh God, is it? Oh, you know, what is it now? You know, go right. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to do this and see what happens. But they were really supportive.
I've seen your mum, and I can tell she's so proud of you and what you've been
and far more supportive than I gave them credit for. Because you know, when you do something different, you play it a bit, don't you? You sort of think, let's just keep it down. I don't want to, you know, upset them too much. And they're like, yeah, whatever, go and do it. You know, have to give up job because you still have to pay your mortgage and, you know, feed your children. And I had two young boys at the time. So I would literally finish work, and the Lord Mayor's car with the security guard and the chains would be there outside my office in the car park for me to leave work, put the bling bits on and wander off to an event.
And that, you mean the mayoral chains?
Yeah, the chains. And go to an event. And sometime if it was an early morning event, I'd go to the event first and then come to work.
So and not to forget that you were raising two children as well.
I was raising two children at the time.
Well, we'll pick a little bit up on that again, but we're going to go for another quick break. So inshallah, viewers, we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.